what's the deal? This is your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag, you know what I mean? As of this recording, it is 2:32 p.m., March 29, 2026. You know what I mean? This is the second video of the day. And of course, you know, y'all hear me banging because I'm cooking. I'm fucking cooking, you know what I'm saying? I'm cooking. Actually, I'm cooking for tomorrow because usually on Tuesdays I would do spaghetti, but on Wednesday I actually had to work. Believe it, I had to work Wednesday because I got to do a very special in-house training. You know what I mean? In-person training and shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I got a busy day ahead of me. I got a real busy day ahead of me on Wednesday and shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I got a lot of shit to take care of. I got a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? But this is the second video of the day. You know what I mean? Last I got a training to do on Wednesday with some legal people. You know what I mean? Me and my coworkers and shit. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I usually do spaghetti on a Tuesday, but I'm doing it today. I mean, for tomorrow, motherfucker. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a full-fledged discussion because, people complain about Danhausen, right? Being in WWE television, right? But hear me out with something, okay? Danhausen is one of the most over people in the entire fucking company, and he hasn't even wrestled a match for WWE. And he might not. I would not be shocked if he never wrestles a match for WWE. Why? Because the guy is over just being his character, just being his true self, right? He's over just being himself. You know what I mean? And it kind of proves a point about professional wrestling. You don't really have to wrestle to get over with the crowd, to get either, a cheap pop or some serious heel heat. You don't need to wrestle. Now, because we've seen people who they don't wrestle a match and they get over. Now, I mean, Danhausen's selling merchandise. He's selling merchandise just for him. Let me just mute this. Just for him, just being out there, just doing the shit that he does. You know what I mean? He's over. You know what I mean? Like he's super over. You know what I mean? He's high to get over. Yeah. Too low to get under. Yeah. I was thinking about that fucking song too. The fuck y'all know about Boyz II Men vibing with fucking Tretch, Method Man, and Craig Mack? The fuck you know about that, man? Now, I mean, I should put that shit in the comments, in the description just to piss you motherfuckers off, man. That's 90s shit, nigga. But again, you do not have to wrestle to be over. You know what I mean? Now, it could work for managers, right? Yes, it could truly work for managers and shit because managers, valets actually, they don't wrestle, but they were over. Sable was over. Now, I mean, Sable was over. And Sable, I mean, she wrestled. She was a shit wrestler. She was a garbage wrestler. You know what I mean? But she was over because, she was a blonde with big tits. That's it. She was a blonde with big tits and shit. You know what I mean? But, in terms of a character like Danhausen, again, you do not have to wrestle to be over. You don't. And it also gives you longevity. Now, I mean, it definitely kind of gives you some longevity. You know what I mean? Because when you do, when you're not wrestling, right? And when you appear on TV every time, then when you get a reception, then yeah. I mean, this motherfucker Danhausen's putting curses on people. This motherfucker put a curse on ISO Speed. I mean, he's putting curses on everybody, right? And so, again, they found the perfect role for him. He's backstage. He'll go out. You know what I mean? He wrestles, but he doesn't need to wrestle. He doesn't really need to wrestle. Like, he's already over in a state where he's good to go. Like, he doesn't really, all you got to do is just show your face out there. You know what I mean? And do what you do. You know what I'm saying? And bam, the crowd loves you because the crowd loves Danhausen. And man, what a missed opportunity from AEW. AEW fucked up badly. They fucked up badly with Danhausen, bro. I mean, how the fuck you don't utilize Danhausen? WWE obviously had a fucking plan for Danhausen. You know what I'm saying? And here's the other thing, too, about Danhausen. I honestly would not be shocked if Danhausen is going to be used in a big role at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he's already one of their top, one of their top merch sellers, right? Just the fact that he's a top merch seller, you don't think WWE has plans for Danhausen, for WrestleMania? Again, the guy doesn't need to wrestle. He doesn't need to fucking wrestle. You know what I mean? He definitely does not need to wrestle. Like, he's over just being on himself. You know what I mean? I mean, come on. You know what's funny? Speaking of people who don't need to wrestle and such, right? I'm watching SmackDown. Me and Mama Tag was watching SmackDown, right? And, I'm looking at females and such, right? I'm like, damn, Selena Vega is just fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at her like, God damn, like she doesn't need to be over. See, she's not a bad wrestler, but I think the position that she's in, right, is where she needs to be at, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. When you can be a person, you don't need to get involved physically to get attachments to the crowd. You don't need to. You don't fucking need to. Now, I mean, there's more than one way to get over. Now, is Danhausen going to wrestle at some point? I don't fucking know. But if I had it my way, I wouldn't make him wrestle. I would not have him wrestle. I would not. No, I mean, I would not have him wrestle strictly because he doesn't need to wrestle. He doesn't need to be in the square circle. No, I mean, like he's a comedy act. Let me turn this off. He's a comedy act. But he's a comedy act that gets over with the crowd. No, I mean, and that's all that really matters. That's all that really matters and such. And and a lot of companies should take heed to that. Like, you have someone there, they don't really need to do anything. And to get fuck Steve Austin, when he stopped wrestling, he was still over. Right? This motherfucker was still over. So again, you do not need to fucking wrestle to still get over with the crowd. You know what I mean? You're a merch seller. You can still get involved. You can still get involved with storylines and such, right? You don't really have to take bumps, and you can still get over, right? But of course, people want, they want to see them in the ring and such, right? But you don't really need to, especially for an act like this. You don't need to. You honestly don't need to. I mean, and if he ever is gonna be in the ring, right? I guarantee you it'll probably be very light. Like, very, very light to a point where he's not really taking a lot of bumps, but he's still getting involved. Plain and simple, B. Plain and fucking simple. Anyway, guys, I'm about to be out. Maybe I might come with another video tonight. I don't know. Now I mean, but be on the lookout. All right? Peace.